Bob Owens joins us on the program right now. How are you, Bob?
Doing great. A little jet lagged, but I'm here. How are you, sir?
I said earlier today, this is probably the goofiest show that I do every year because I'm exhausted. I'm always going on about 4 hours sleep, and yes, but I'm energized. That's the weird thing, is that I'm exhausted, but I'm also incredibly energized, having been to the NRA Annual Meetings.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was a lot of great energy there, a lot of really, really good people, and it was just a great time had by almost everybody in Nashville.
Almost. Maybe 150 or so people were kind of upset on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I did get that distinct impression when I went and visited them.
Yeah, so let's talk about this, the Mom's Demand protest. You took this great picture, and I applaud you again for being more than just someone who sits at the keyboard and says, here's what I think about the world. You actually climbed a pedestrian bridge. You took the time. You took a camera. You didn't want to vox-plain it to us because you Bob-splained it to us, and a picture's worth 1,000 words. And there we see, I can't even call it a crowd, Bob, the sparsely attended protest of the NRA annual meetings.
The lines for the food vendors at the Music City Center were much longer.
Yes. Yeah, I would. Yes, that's absolutely the case. Although I got to say, no lines for the bathroom. So, congratulations to the Nashville Music City Center for managing to get that right. Some convention centers don't, but they did a great job with that. And so you were there. Did you see any? I mean, obviously Shannon Watts was there, so you remember her from Indianapolis. Were there other familiar faces from last year's protest in Indy?
There were a few, but their names escape me at this moment. There, I believe, was it Miss McBath was there.
Okay.
Martinez was there, who was the gentleman whose son was unfortunately one of the ones killed when that little nut job in California went on his stabbing, car smashing, and shooting spree. And while he has nothing to say at all about people being stabbed or run over, he has decided that firearms are the most evil thing on the planet, not the person who used all these different implements to hurt a bunch of people.
So, Bob, you and I were talking about this yesterday. You stopped by the NRA news booth, and thank you for doing so. And we were just chatting about, what happens next. We've had the Moms Demand Action Group around for a couple of years. We know that Michael Bloomberg, he changes things up. He started with Mayors Against Illegal Guns. That didn't really work. We have the umbrella group of Every Town for Gun Safety. It's not that the groups ever really go away, because like Mayors for Illegal Guns is still out there. And I'm sure that Moms Demand Action will always remain a Bloomberg entity of some sort. But at what point do you think does the gun control movement say, okay, this isn't working?
Well, what we're seeing is a very fast implosion as far as organizational things go. Moms Demand has only been around a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, Shannon Watts, who was the PR executive, who was the head of this group, has made a career out of embarrassing the media. She lies to them, feeds them information, then the information turns out to be false. She did that with her fake school shootings report. She did that by trying to assert that 400 to 500 people showed up at this protest, and of course, then they pulled out these cute little photography tricks of zooming in very closely to try to make their numbers look inflated, or try to look like their numbers were much greater than they were. And of course, the shot we were able to get from the bridge proved that those numbers were greatly inflated unless they brought 350 people in ghillie suits.
Which I suppose is an outside possibility, but doesn't seem particularly likely. Maybe the rest of them are all just hanging out in the George Jones Museum.
That is a possibility. It did happen to have a camera angle or two where it looked like the Moms Demand protest was a line to get into the museum. So,
as Cameron Gray noted, the irony of holding the event in front of No Show Jones's museum. It's fitting, I suppose.
And I'm sure that they probably had no idea who George Jones was either.
All you bumpkins look alike to me.
Exactly.
Right? Just the great bumpkin mass of people, which is funny because honestly, Bob, this was, as I said, this was the first year that I didn't consciously notice. Oh wow, there's a lot more women here. Oh wow, there are a lot more families here. Oh wow, you know what I mean? Like this was the year that this was sort of the new normal, that you look out at the NRA annual meetings and you're looking at the mall. You're looking at any, large, you're looking at an NFL game. You're looking at a Major League Baseball game. You're looking at people who go to these events. It looks like America.
The only difference is that the people at the annual meeting were carrying a lot more firearms, and therefore were much safer than they would be at many malls and stadiums that outlaw the practice.
Okay, point taken. And to that end, it should be noted that the Nashville Tennessean, after running this piece about law enforcement concerns about sex trafficking at the NRA annual meeting, and it wasn't really that it was about the NRA annual meeting, but that was sort of the headline there. They noted that there were no crime problems at the NRA annual meeting, no issues from NRA members throughout the city of Nashville, and even beyond, because there were folks who were staying 30, 40, 50 miles away. As is the case every year, the NRA comes to town, and I think, I'd be interested to know if the crime numbers actually report how large a drop the crime numbers were compared to same weekend 1 year ago. But that's generally what happens.
You should mention.
Do you know the answer to this?
I don't know the specifics, but while I was at the Mom's Demand protest, there were several police officers and one of Shannon's bodyguards that were hanging together. And I went over there and talked with them a few minutes, and I asked if there had been any sort of issues over the I guess it was probably 24 to 36 hours that folks had been in town at that point. And the officer told me, he goes, no, actually, things are a lot calmer than normal. And, he didn't say as much after that, but, he made it pretty clear that he thinks that the fact that we were there probably kept things a lot more law-abiding than it otherwise would have been, because gun owners are more law-abiding than the general public.
Well, we know that to be the case, and again, it doesn't matter if we're talking about college campuses or shopping malls or Nashville, Tennessee. That really is the case. So, Bob, I got to ask you, you wrote a ton this weekend about the NRA annual meeting, and you were tweeting up a storm. But coming away from this, and you described the energy. You talked about the energy there. It's not necessarily, I don't think, geared toward a potential political candidate. In fact, I'm not even sure that it's really potentially geared towards, at this particular moment in time, the 2016 elections. Although certainly gun owners are aware that they're coming up, and we want to get involved. But it just seems like there was this mass energy at the annual meeting of, we are tired of being lied about. We are tired of being lied to, and no more. We're standing up for ourselves. We're pushing back in all of these different ways. And I think that, there was I just saw a lot of highly motivated gun owners there at the annual meeting this year.
Well, not only highly motivated, but very optimistic. Mm-hmm. It was a very happy bunch of people.
It was.
We're sitting here, and while in narrow spots and in local and sometimes statewide areas around the country, gun control folks are still seeing a little bit of luck, the massive swing is clearly in favor of the Second Amendment rights movement on the state, local, and federal level. And we are seeing rights restoration happening across America, and there's a real feeling that we can do a heck of a lot more, with or without the mismanagement that we currently have in the White House. So it's just a wonderful feeling to know that, or at least feel that the tide has certainly turned in our favor. The American public, is refuting and turning their backs on the lies of the gun control movement and the far left and the disreputable elements in the media. And, they're quite thrilled and happy to be part of a team that is winning.
Bob Owens from Bearing Arms. All right, so of all of the booths that you went to, all the stuff you got to see, a couple things stand out for you?
I got a really bad case of the onesies when I walked Nighthawk Custom.
Yeah.
Really, really slick, very, very nicely designed 1911s. I was very intrigued by the new Remington 380, the RM 380, little pocket pistol, and I'm hoping that launch goes smoothly for them. And I had a lot of fun Thursday playing with various suppressors, and so I think I've got a suppressor bug starting to develop.
Well, I don't know if that's anything close to the Rocky pneumonia and the boogie woogie flu, but I hope that you can get that treated. And I think the answer is just you probably need to get one, Bob.
That's kind of my fault too.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate getting a chance to talk with you and hang out in Nashville. Looking forward to Louisville next year, but I know we'll be seeing each other before then.
Absolutely. I think we got a fishing trip we need to take.
I think you're right. All right. Well, listen, I know you're glad to be back home and back with the family. I'm looking forward to that as well later this evening. So thank you, sir, for your time, and look forward to doing this again soon.
Absolutely, Cam. Take care.